We are continuing to read from the book, The Seeker's Journal, A Spiritual Journey by Om Prakash, starting on journal entry 10. I had several dreams last night. I went to bed very exhausted and slept very long. I was in a different place than usual. I was on a very large hill made of volcanic stone. There was a woman there wearing a red top and bottom and a red bandana and red gloves coming down the hill. She was also carrying a red hatchet in her hand. She was stumbling down the hill, slid and fell. I rushed up toward her, and a voice was channeled through me that shouted, "There will be no sacrifice today, no more sacrifices. Humans are going to have to pay for what they've done themselves." She looked at me inquisitively. I reiterated it. "You are not to sacrifice yourself today. There weren't going to be any more. This is the end of the story. They either make it themselves or they don't." I offered her my hand and pulled her up. "Take care of yourself and live a good life." I began to go back down the hill and she followed. "I'll live a good life with you," she said. "I am you, you know. We are always together. We are two halves of the same being." I smiled, happy to have her with me, remembering the emphasis of no more sacrifices. Later I was in a narrow hallway. It was a very large red shape that looked like some form of energy harassing people. I stepped out and slapped it in the head as hard as I could. When it turned to attack me, a woman on the other side kicked it in the rear end as hard as she could. It kept turning in the direction from which it was struck over and over until we kept striking, until I allowed my fist to heat up and glow red and struck it as hard as possible. It fell back. The woman's hand had turned bright blue and she struck it with a knife hand blow to the throat and it was dead. I'm feeling that these two dreams were the same, meaning that there will be no more sacrifices. No one will be sent from above to die for the people. Those who can defend themselves instead of sacrificing themselves will. No ancient sacrifices, no martyrs, no modern-day sacrifices will be sent or suffice. The humans are on their own, and whatever is to be met out by their actions will be. This, of course, includes me, who has had a lifetime of sacrificing my hopes, dreams, and desires in order to uplift and uphold people who really don't care. I haven't listened to the adage to not cross oceans to help someone who wouldn't jump over a puddle to help me. This dream was giving me the right to move in the real direction of self-care and allowing people to go through whatever is necessary to learn from their own mistakes. Journal entry 11. I had some dreams I really don't want to process today. They were mostly about being attacked and overcoming the attack with great effort. Dreams about being attacked for no reason or not having access to water when there was plenty of it accessible right across the room. I think most of my dreams were about issues that came up during the day. They were about questions I had about the path that I am on and my desire to change it. I have been involved with a group of people whose membership has been rewarding and suffocating. Now it is moving close to suffocating, and the message that I keep receiving is that it is time to move on and work with people who supply strength, energy, and insight instead of taking it. Something that might be good for all of us. The last entry I'll read today is journal entry 12. Very little to say. I have had dreams and messages from the spirits last night that I don't really understand. It is as if everything that happened is totally blocked. I can't remember any conversations, dreams, or feelings. Only very few moments that stood out during the night, and I can barely remember them. I remember walking into a gym. Near the front door, there was a black man practicing karate, doing kicks and punches. I remembered the many forms I knew and thought that he needed to learn a new form. I had been a martial artist for years and was adept. When I entered into the room, the people were all over the floor, rolling and fighting. Dick Cheney grabbed me from behind, not knowing I was a martial artist, and he struggled as he hollered, "I don't feel good, and I can still take him down." I centered myself, dropped my weight, and got ready to whip his behind instead of just trying to wrestle. I figured he was good at wrestling, so I was going to just commence to kick the heck out of him with kicks and punches. I awakened at that moment. As I write this, I can see that this is about the occurrences taking place today. There is a lot of discouragement everywhere because of people being locked behind doors because of the coronavirus. It wears on people. Nothing seems to be happening, as I find myself in the house most of the time with policies being passed that will make the 1% of the country much more powerful. It weighs on me. But as I draw on my belief system and understanding of the world, the one that is awake and sees from a higher perspective, I am able to resist the weightiness of what is happening. The dream is helping me realize this. The very act of doing so will allow me to begin to kick people's butts and drive away the negativity that keeps me locked into a feeling of neutrality instead of joy. I awakened discouraged. I felt as though this idea that I had of jumping from one dimension or timeline was not possible. I felt that I wasn't getting any closer. But now, after understanding the dream, I am reconsidering. Suppose my whole concept of reality is incorrect. Suppose our dreams are actually portals. They give us the opportunities to pivot in another direction when we interpret them, or cause us to by planting a seed for a new direction. This pivot may be so subtle that we don't even recognize it. This short dream and the others throughout the night planted the seed to move me in another direction by giving me the opportunity to choose another path. In fact, by presenting me with the information, it has brought me to a place where I'm forced to choose. This path, theoretically, is a point of decision that creates a new timeline as it takes me off the other if I choose a new direction. The present one, wrestling to neutrality with the powers that be, becomes overcoming them and becoming victorious. See what I mean by starting a new timeline? In this case, it would mean being victorious by fighting to win instead of maintaining neutral. Part of the process I have been using, especially last night, are the spiritual teachings I picked up these many years from doing chanting and doing Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound, and Ho'oponopono, while chanting one of the major chants last night. Lead me from falsity to truth, from darkness to light, and from death to life. I actually fell into the very deep trance that I was experiencing. It was odd. I heard the chanting as I repeated it in my head, but that's all that I heard. My conscious, my ego just went somewhere as I was chanting, but I was still chanting in my mind. And I became aware again. I began to do Ho'oponopono until I went to sleep. These methodologies seem to take one deeper into the subconscious and to open that part of the mind, like a Pandora's box, so that one can see what is there and is able, through the use of will and desire, to alter it as to move in the direction of personal growth, wellness, and the return to the greater self. It is an unwinding of the subconscious forces, which results in an unwinding of the ego, which will make it permeable, flexible, and ready to dissolve and reintegrate anytime it is necessary, instantly. Could this be the ability to switch dimensions that I'm seeking? And we will stop there, friends. The next reading will be entry number 13. I hope you enjoy this one, and I hope you will explore our website at nextstepcoaching.mysite.com. You can find more information in the description below. I'm wishing you a very good new year and hoping your new year is better than the one that we had last year, because the one we had last year really sucked. Thanks for being with me again. Have a great holiday and great new year. Namaste.